Unscripted, unfiltered, unapologetic. Diner stops and real talk. The voice of farmers, not politicians or promise makers. Just honest conversation about agriculture's biggest issues. At the table today. This is The Farmer's Table, an original series from Pivot Bio.
Hi, I'm Andrew McCrae, host of the American Countryside and a farmer in Northwest Missouri. As we gather farmer friends around the table once again, talk today turns to the fuel that runs operations of every size. I'm not talking about diesel, I'm talking about cash. And in a volatile time such as this, financing has become a major wild card on the balance sheet. We have three farmers who join me at the table. Steve Pitstick of Maple Park, Illinois, Carolyn Raasch of Liberty, Missouri, and Kelly Garrett of Arion, Iowa. We kick things off with a question that's on the mind of farmers and ranchers nationwide. Is it going to be harder to get the financing they need to run their operations?
I would assume so, but I don't know. The risk is greater, so when it gets risky, everybody's kind of back away.
Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm.
So if it gets riskier, then who is out there that's going to be your partner? There's a lot of folks, some big firms will give you some financing, but are they going to leave?
I think the input providers will always be there. It's a way of selling product. So you got your seed and chemical companies, you got JD Finance or whatever it might be. Your equipment companies are financing you. It's that rent. If you're in a big renting operation, you've got to find the money to rent that. So as we go forward here, do we see a transition back to more sharecropping or a landowner invested in that outcome so that we don't have to borrow that much money, $500, $600? Potentially is where cash rent could be next year with these prices. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money. So do we see a transition in the model back to maybe a sharecrop?
We were with a large national bank. And then after the housing crash of '08 and things like that, and the years that followed, you could see that they were less and less comfortable with agriculture. You were becoming less and less of a person and more of a number. And we switched about 5 years ago to a regional bank, that's regional to Western Iowa. And I feel very secure about that relationship. I was feeling very insecure about the previous relationship.
Well, are you having trouble, any of you, finding somebody that can be that banker, that financier that has a good working knowledge of ag? Because it's hard to find those folks, I think.
Not yet,
Okay.
but I see it coming potentially.
But I think the banks like what we deal with more that are in a really rural area that are very secure banks, they just kind of keep expanding. They just kind of keep taking up that slack that I think some of the other ones don't know about and aren't comfortable with. Nope. And that these people they're doing fine.
Is the bank consolidation a good thing in your mind? I mean, you got to have a bank of a certain size, but yet you want to have the hometown community feel, I think, a lot of times.
I see that more in the suburban areas than I do more in a really rural area. I mean, where we're farming, it's more of a rural area, and they don't have any trouble with anything like that. I don't think.
Our bank is expanding, but the people that are at the bank that we're dealing with are people that I grew up with. You maybe weren't close with them, but you've known them your whole life.
Same bank or different, same people but different name on the bank.
That's right.
Very true. Very
That's
true.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you think that's worth? How much extra interest would you be willing to pay for the right relationship? Is it 1/4%, 0.5%, or?
It depends on what the options are.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very true. Yeah.
If there's no other option, or one other option.
I feel so good about the relationship that we have and the security we have. I don't even shop it. So I might be paying extra now and I don't know, but I don't care.
Just because you like?
I'm happy.
Well, I'm the same way. I mean, when you have that relationship, you don't like to be switching on something that big.
And sometimes it's not just about the money either. It's the relationship and some of the benefits that also brings in, whether it's contacts or whatever. But I think it's that other part sometimes.
I can call Jake and I say, hey, I bought a farm, and he said, you're kind of supposed to tell me that ahead of time. And that's worth a lot. I don't know how you quantify it, but that's worth a lot.
It is, yeah.
But I think the long-term relationships that we have with bankers, they see how we react in tough times, and we see how they react in tough times, and we kind of learn each other and know going forward how this is going to play out. You know, you have a tough situation coming up. I know the banker's going to be okay with it. He's not going to be all over me, or vice versa. You know, he's going to see that if I start making money, I'm not going to run by a whole bunch of new equipment. And we kind of learn each other and how we handle things.
There are empty seats at the farmer's table. Want to fill them? Sign up today at pivotbio.com/farmers table.
Farmers have always taken care of what they value. They cultivated bountiful land and fed a nation hungry for progress. As Americans dialed up, precision on the farm led to yields once thought impossible. But when it came to nitrogen, it wasn't precise or predictable enough. Farmers deserve a nitrogen worthy of who they are and what their land can provide. And now there is one.
Is the rate of inflation, you know, we started with that. How big of a concern is that? Do you think, okay, we're going to come off this, or are we continuing to head up at this, and this is really going to begin to cause problems for us going forward? I mean, you have to write big checks these days to put a crop in.
It's monopoly money. you look at tractors. A new planter is $400,000 for a 24-row planter.
Yeah.
Who thought?
Yeah.
You know,
That's
it's
not
just-
counting software.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not counting software.
GPS signal.
Yeah.
I have zero concern about that because in what we do, inflation, we make more money.
Yeah.
I hate to say that publicly, but it's true. So I don't have any concern. You know, and ag retail would like to extract their pound of flesh. That's why fertility's so high and things like that. But as long as the margin's still there. You know, we've hired a couple mechanics. We've got them in our shop. We don't trade for new planters. We rebuild the old ones with other components. And I think that yep, which is a challenge.
We've done that too, but stuff does wear out. The core components do wear out.
Yes,
So you
and
do
then
have to roll up.
Then we'll go buy another used planter and we'll rebuild it again.
But I think in farming, it's on the musical chairs. Music's playing pretty good right now, but it's going to stop, and somebody's going to be left without a chair.
Yes.
And that's just the way it's been. It's the way it's always going to be. So we just got to hopefully not be the next chair out.
Can it stop inflation? I mean, does the inflation rate really stop inflation, or what stops inflation?
I'm not an economist, and I don't pretend to be. It just what I see, you know, if inflation's 8 or 10%, you and I are going to go buy stuff because we know it's going to cost more next year.
Oh.
So you got to get the cost of interest above that so that it disincentivizes us from doing that. So right now we're still below, so we're going out and buying what we need for the future because it's a good buy.
Well, look at what we talked about before. I bought a couple, 3 years of chemical because I was worried about being able to get it. If the interest rate was high on my operating note, I maybe rethink that. But where it's at right now, I want the supply. I want a bird in the hand, you know. And I've not been talked out of doing that yet by the interest rate.
What do you hear from folks out in the farm? I mean, yeah, we've come higher, but is it really dissuading anybody from purchasing farmland inputs? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Not yet.
Especially not with the prices. I mean, everything. We're okay. We're okay. Yeah.
There's still money to be made.
Yeah, I think as we go forward, though, the profits that we're making, because those are taxable, we're going to invest those in machinery and things like that, if you can find the stuff, and not necessarily build our working capital for this new level. So we got to go borrow that money. So I look at my line item on the budget for interest rates, and it's almost going to be projected to be 4 times what it was 2 years ago, because we're borrowing twice as much money
And
at
the
twice
interest
the
is twice,
rate.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was a no number. We didn't care about it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Now all of a sudden it's up there where herbicide costs might be or something like that. We got to pay attention to it.
We have a lot of folks that look in at what farmers do and wonder sometimes why they do what they do. So what's the biggest misconception you think that outsiders will say have of what you do?
I think just the fact that they don't understand that this isn't just a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of living. It's a way of raising our families. It's a way of, yes, we're providing food and everything, but it's us. It's everything that we do, and we just do it. we do it without thinking. We do it automatically. We just don't, and I think they think that a lot of times, we're raising things that we don't care about it. We don't worry about it. It's just shoving it out the door. But I don't think they really understand that everything we're doing is just our way of life, and we're trying to support our whole family. We're trying to support the world, and it's the best thing for everybody.
It's the lack of understanding and the disconnect from how the food is raised and what we do. You sometimes get the sense that the outside world thinks that we're wasting fertilizer because we don't care. That's so not true because of the financial implications that would have.
Sure is.
Yeah, that lack of understanding of what we do. We're not out there putting on tons of fertilizer or tons of pesticides. We can't afford it.
Exactly.
And we're continuing every year to do a better job. I was taught at a very early age to leave things better than you got it. Constant improvement is our goal.
We're not trying to put ourselves out of business.
No.
That doesn't make sense.
I want to do this again next year and the next
Yeah,
year and
yeah.
my kids and grandkids.
If you want to accuse me of not being a great environmentalist, I think you're wrong, but that's fine. But don't accuse me of wasting money. We're not flushing stuff away. You said earlier your husband would do anything for a free cap. He's surely not going to throw potash down the drain.
No, not at all.
And so the idea that we are doing that is not correct.
Exactly, yeah.
Some great perspective from three farmers who are walking the walk in these challenging times. We want to thank Carolyn, Kelly, and Steve for being so open with their opinions. Words of wisdom indeed. We'll see you next time on the Farmer's Table.
We're going around talking to all the farmers in Iowa because we're trying to build the ultimate farm truck.
Gosh, cab dude!
Yeah, in your cab.
There are over 2 million farmers in the United States. One of them is about to win some cash for their local FFA chapter.
I don't know that the public knows what they want out of sustainability.
If they're asking us to grow cover crops and to plant non-GMO, our expenses are going to go up. Yields are going to go down. At that point, we're not sustainable.
All right, so when you think of Wisconsin, what do you think of? Aside for beer and cheese and people wearing cheese while drinking beer.
You have to have nitrogen.
It's really a microcosm of one of the biggest questions that we face. Can we feed the world and save the world?
Visit pivotbio.com/originals to see these shows and more.